Jungkook stepped out of the Nathaniel car, the cold brushing against his cheeks. His head felt heavier than it should. He patted down his pockets, frowning. No phone, not in his coat, not in his trousers. Gone, just like the clarity he thought he'd had an hour ago. The car drove off behind him as he stepped toward the gate only to hear shouting from across the street.
"Piss off already, Troy."
A girl not much older than him stood toe-to-toe with a guy who looked 2 drinks too deep and 1 punch away from trouble.
"Don't speak to me like that, you little cow," the guy snapped, grabbing for her wrist.
Jungkook's voice cut through before he even thought.
"Oi, back off. You wanna start with me."
The guy turned, stumbling toward him with a sneer.
"The hell are you, her new hero boyfriend?"
The girl crossed the road, grabbing at the guy's arm.
"Don't mess with him, Troy. He ain't someone you mouth off to, trust me."
Troy didn't listen.
And Troy had no idea Jungkook was trained to snap through impact with a single, clean punch.
The blow landed square across Troy's cheekbone. He staggered, legs giving way beneath him, hitting the pavement with a grunt. Jungkook stepped toward him again, but the girl jumped in front, hands on his chest.
"Don't, mate. He's not worth the mess. Just leave it."
Troy scrambled up, eyes wet with rage and embarrassment, then bolted down the street muttering curses. The girl sat on the curb, cradling her forehead. Jungkook dropped beside her, his pulse still rattling.
"You all right?"
She shook her head, laughed once dry and broken. Then she reached into her jacket and pulled out a tiny silver packet. Without hesitation, she popped the tab, poured the grainy contents onto her tongue, and swallowed. A beat later, her head tilted back as a strange giggle tumbled out of her.
"Whole bloody world goes quiet after that," she muttered. "This stuff's my goddamn savior."
Jungkook's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" She glanced at him sidelong, eyes glassy.
"Won't kill ya, won't fix ya either, but it'll make tonight easier."
She held out another packet.
"Go on. Might help that look on your face, yeah?"
He stared at it for a long second, then took it. "Thanks," he said numbly.
"No worries, mate. You saved me face. Least I can do."
She stumbled back to her apartment, singing something to herself, voice trailing into static. Jungkook stepped into the house like he didn't recognize it anymore. It was silent, still, too clean, like life had slipped out the seams when he wasn't looking. He dropped his keys somewhere near the counter, though he didn't remember letting go. His steps faltered as he reached the sofa. The air felt heavier here. He lowered himself onto the edge of the cushion like someone who wasn't sure if he wanted to sit or collapse. In his hand, the small silver packet. It sat there, innocuous and damning. He stared at it. His thumb traced the edge over and over, peeling, pressing, thinking, and thinking was the problem. His mind wouldn't shut up. Reginald's voice, his dad's voice, everything still rang in his skull. The heir is a must.
"I thought you were my son. You'll never be happy with him."
The contract,
the video,
the silence, the wedding. He gripped the packet tighter, his knuckles paled. Everything inside him felt tight and unfinished. Rage curled beneath his ribs, guilt clung to the edges of his breath. The space beside him where Taehyung should have been felt too loud in its emptiness. He blinked, once, twice, then leaned forward, elbows digging into his knees, pressing the packet to his forehead like it might give him answers. It didn't. He let the silence settle for one more minute, one more breath, and then he tore it open. The substance spilled into his hand, pale and shimmering, faintly floral. He hesitated, then tilted his head back, and swallowed. Seconds passed. Then, the ceiling cracked open. The walls bled color, light bent sideways. And in the window bathed in a halo of sun and petal and something almost holy, Taehyung stood, still, soft. "Tainy," Jungkook whispered, giggling like his lungs had let go of something sharp. He stumbled to his feet, body no longer his own.
"Tainy, I signed it. I did what they wanted. Do you think Appa cursed me?"
The figure just smiled, patient.
"Will we make it, Tainy, or was it already broken?"
The apparition tilted its head, stepping closer.
"We'll make it, Rue. You hear me? We'll make it."
And Jungkook, without thought or tether, leaned forward, lips brushing air that felt warmer than breath. Yeah, he whispered, we'll make it. The sun was already high by the time Taehyung stirred. His head throbbed, a hot pulse behind his eyes as he sat up on a mattress that smelled of sweat, cologne, and poor decisions. The room looked like a war zone: beer cans, feathers, someone's neon boa, and two legs dangling off the couch like they didn't belong to anyone. Taehyung groaned, rubbing his temples. Shit, what even happened? He looked down. His shirt was halfway open, buttons lost to the wind, belt hanging loose around his waist. Ryan. He stumbled barefoot into the corridor, shirt flapping, his voice gruff. Oi Ryan, tuna, anyone breathing? From somewhere inside a room. Shut up, you drama queen, I'm dead till Tuesday. Another groan. Mate, close the bloody curtains, my eyeballs are melting. Taehyung kicked at the edge of a blanket draped over someone's body. Where's my phone? Muffled laughter, then nothing. Tae growled and stalked toward the living room, hands combing through his hair. Unbelievable, y'all could lose your pants and not even notice. He shoved open a bedroom door, walking barefoot. Ryan. One groan echoed from a corner. If you're yelling, at least bring coffee, mate. Another body shifted under a beanbag. Oi, turn off the sun. But Taehyung didn't pause. His breath was tight to tight. Ryan, he barked, now punching at a closed bedroom door. From inside. Mate, seriously, I'm dying in here. Taehyung kicked the door harder. I'm going to rue. Silence. Then the door creaked open. Ryan stood there, hair wild, socks mismatched, face twisted in disbelief. Bro, you downed an entire bottle after Sarah left. You can't even see straight. I don't care, Taehyung said, shouldering past. I felt it, he wasn't okay. He fumbled into the washroom, splashing water on his face, muttering under his breath. Just get me there. Ryan, now slightly more alert, turned to the others still passed out. Wake the hell up, we're checking on Jungkook before Tae walks into traffic on vibes alone. Meanwhile, across the city, Jungkook blinked at the ceiling, not because he meant to, but because his body remembered how. He didn't move, couldn't. His mouth was dry past dry, his tongue felt like paper, his lips cracked, the room spun gently, like it hadn't decided whether it wanted to tilt sideways or evaporate entirely. His limbs were numb, weightless, like they'd abandoned him hours ago and had only now remembered to return. He inhaled, shaky and slow. The air tasted metallic. Where? He shifted slightly and the coarse fabric of the couch scraped against his skin like sandpaper. That felt real? He sat up too fast. The room lurched. Light slashed across his eyes in sharp, disorienting angles. His vision blurred, multiplied, then narrowed. Where am I? He rasped. He stumbled toward the hallway, legs uncertain, breath uneven. His balance was off like gravity had changed the rules without telling him. The hallway was quiet. The walls felt unfamiliar, too white, too echoing. He passed a mirror, paused. The man staring back looked like him, but hollowed out. Red-rimmed eyes, shirt inside out, bruises beneath the skin that weren't quite physical. What the hell happened? He turned away. The flashes started again, disjointed, overlapping. The neighbor's broken laugh, the silver packet, his fingers shaking as he opened it. The taste, the burn, then cherry blossom, Taehyung, a kiss that never happened, a lie he wanted to believe. Appa cursed me, he whispered, gripping the edge of the hallway wall for support. His fingers left faint sweat marks behind. He closed his eyes. Tainy, and just like that, the ache surged back faster than the drug could numb, louder than the quiet house could hold. He didn't know if he was coming down or still floating, but he knew this. He wasn't okay, and he needed him. Sarah, he saw the video, you're sure of it? Alex over speaker, voice smug. Positive, left it wide open on my phone. His eyes didn't blink when it played. Sarah, then where's the explosion? Why isn't he ripping everything apart yet? Alex, because love's stubborn, darling, and apparently, so is he. He paused. He signed the air contract too, with zero protest. Sarah scoffed. So he's just choosing to be miserable quietly now,
And the other one, the party?
Alex grinning into his drink.
Handled. We had one of the guys accidentally swipe open Tay's phone mid-air. All it took was a little cash and timing. Sarah and Jungkook saw. Alex. He called during the party. Phone gets answered. What does he see? His fiancé getting handcuffed to a stripper, laughing with half-drunk mates. It doesn't matter that Sarah stepped in later, he saw just enough.
Sarah went silent, then muttered, bitter.
Frick this woman, she's everywhere, like some magical moral cleanup crew.
Alex chuckled darkly.
She's your shadow nemesis now, might want to start plotting her downfall too.
Sarah didn't answer right away. She just stared out the window. Then, quietly,
no, that one's for later.
Sarah leaned back, eyes narrowed with mild admiration.
How did you even manage to plant the heir obsession in Reginald's mind that deep? Impressive, you really pulled it off.
Alex smirked, his voice calm and self-satisfied.
I've lived around him long enough to know what matters most: legacy, lineage, control.
He tilted his head.
The trick isn't fighting him, it's outplaying him. Sometimes all it takes is the right prod to his pride, and suddenly he's doing exactly what I need.
A pause.
Even the sharpest men are vulnerable when you press the emotional nerve. Shower hissed.
Jungkook stood beneath the water, eyes closed, his body still disconnected from the ground beneath him. His head spun, a breath away from memory, yet everything flickered. He dressed slowly, absently, buttoning the wrong button twice before getting it right. Then he walked into the living room and stopped. His wedding suit, laid neatly on the couch, folded, fresh. His fingers brushed the fabric.
How the hell did this get here?
His eyes darted around. No phone, no messages, just a blur of yesterday or whatever had happened. The room spun for a second, and he dropped down onto the couch, jaw tight. He clutched his head. Then a knock, then louder.
Jungkook.
The door creaked open. Ryan entered first, followed by two of the guys, all still rumpled, half hungover. They looked at Jungkook slumped on the couch, eyes hollow, body still. Ryan blinked.
Mate, you good?
Jungkook turned his head slowly, blinking at them like he wasn't sure they were real. Tuna dropped beside him with a groan.
We are so wasted, bro. Remind me never to drink again unless someone's getting exorcised.
Ryan leaned forward.
Where's Finn? Tay said he was with you.
A beat.
Silence.
Jungkook looked at them, lips parting, but the words stuck. He didn't remember, and that silence said more than any scream could. Jungkook sat forward on the couch, fingers still tangled in his own hair. Where's Tainy? He asked softly. Ryan, mid-sip from a flat bottle of juice, looked up at him, confused.
What do you mean? He's at my place, mate. Trust me, he's drunk. Woke up just long enough to down another bottle of whiskey like it was self-care.
Jungkook blinked slowly.
When did he leave here last night?
Tuna frowned.
Leave here, bro. He wasn't here.
Another voice from the floor chimed in. Mate, what are you even saying? Tay never left us. He slept between Ryan and a pile of breadsticks. The color drained from Jungkook's face. His gaze drifted to the hallway like it might hold an answer, but all he saw was empty space. Then, who was with me? He whispered. Someone. He held me. He said we'd make it. The room stayed quiet for a breath too long. The clink of an empty can hitting the floor felt too loud.
We really want to throw one more wild night with you, Ryan muttered, collapsing dramatically onto the sofa, but my soul's still recovering from the bloody glitter explosion in the bathtub. Jungkook barely heard him. He wasn't worried about the party.
He was stuck in the haze of something too vivid to have been just a dream and too quiet to prove it ever happened. Tuna tried to lighten the silence.
Cheer up, mate. Wedding's tomorrow. We're sticking with you tonight till we hand you off to our favorite idiot in a tux.
Jungkook nodded vaguely, eyes distant. Where's my phone? He mumbled, scanning the room with no luck. Ryan rolled his eyes.
Tay was also flipping tables looking for his.
Tay rubbed his eyes, groaned, and reached for the house phone like it owed him answers. Ryan, he snapped as soon as the line connected. Why the hell did you idiots leave me behind? Ryan yawned on the other end.
Relax, bro. You were out cold. we're with Jungkook now, he's fine. You left me, I could have died in that bathtub. Look, Ryan interrupted, this is Jungkook's last night of freedom, it's tradition. No grooms meeting before the ceremony. You're officially banned till vows, so go nap or head to the mansion and sober up. I am sober. Dude, you were spooning a microwave 5 minutes ago. Tae growled, slamming the phone down. 2 minutes later, he was yanking on mismatched socks, squeezing into slightly damp jeans, and tossing on a hoodie. His hair was wild, his eyes wilder. He grabbed his keys and bolted out the door. The car ride was more instinct than logic, one swerve short of illegal. The moment he reached Jungkook's street, he blared the horn like it was a love song. The gates were shut. He pounded on them. Rue! From inside the yard, Ryan poked his head out, clearly amused. Go back, mate. You're not supposed to see him. Rules, remember? Screw the rules, Tae shouted. This no contact thing is medieval. Tradition, someone yelled from a window. Tradition can kiss my roof standing, lovesick ass. Then with all the confidence of a man completely powered by sheer Rue withdrawal and questionable whiskey, he climbed up the hood of his car, stomped across the windshield, and stood on the roof. Rue, he screamed, arms outstretched, get your fluffy butt onto that balcony. Inside, Jungkook had just emerged from his room, his head still fuzzy from the previous night's haze. He paused at the sound of muffled yelling, then blinked. Did someone just shout fluffy butt? Jungkook shuffled out to the balcony slowly, one hand on the rail, the other brushing hair from his eyes. He still looked dazed, lips parted, like reality hadn't fully rebooted since that long night, curled in confusion. And then his eyes found him. Tae-ni, you? Taehyung let out a visible exhale, his body folding slightly as he crouched on the car roof, hand pressed against his stomach like emotion had just socked him square in the ribs. The relief on Tae's face was immediate, like he'd just seen water after crossing an emotional desert. Rue, oh my bloody god, he laughed, wiping his face. Saranghi, he shouted across the sky. Niga niomu bogosapiosio, I missed you so bad. Nigiombia arasio, you're my everything, Rue. Jungkook blinked, brows lifting. Down by the gate, Ryan shook his head with a groan. This idiot seriously learned Korean for the guy. Bro, Tuna muttered. He watched every drama on mute with subs. You don't even know the half of it. Back, on the car, Taehyung pointed directly at Jungkook. Punch those bloody mates of mine and come down here, I told you the stay. This was a stupid idea. The stay apart for 1 week plan, utter trash. You think longing makes weddings sexier? It makes people sleep on strangers' floors and forget their socks. Someone snorted from near the driveway. Don't be clingy, Tae. Shut up, I'm romantic, he shouted back, spinning too fast and teetering dangerously near the hood. And he turned back to Jungkook, voice softening like he hadn't just publicly screamed the word fluffy butt. Baby, come down please, I'm not doing another hour without your face. He stepped forward to quickly foot slipping on the windshield and nearly toppled. Tae-ni, Jungkook shouted, heart thudding. Without hesitation, he turned and sprinted inside, feet thudding against the stairs. The others barely moved aside before Jungkook reached the gate, breathless, and their arms wide, shirt half tucked, heart completely exposed. Was his Tae-ni, wobbling on a windshield, grinning like an idiot, looking like home. The moment Taehyung lost his footing on the roof of the car, gravity did its job, but so did Jungkook. He caught him arms out, heart in his throat as Taehyung fell into him, laughing like a kid who just escaped detention, curls brushing Jungkook's cheek, breath warm and reeking of half-finished whiskey declarations. And then, just as quickly, Taehyung's body slipped down, landing on the ground with a soft oof and a giggle, back pressed against the tire. Missed it by that much, he mumbled, tugging Jungkook down beside him like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Jungkook stared for a second, blinking, then gave in, sitting beside him, back hitting the cool metal of the car. Are you sober? Taehyung shrugged, head lolled against the car. Honestly, I don't know. I feel everything and nothing, and it all smells like you. Then, softly Saranghi. Jungkook smiled, not wide, but deep. Saranghi. Taehyung tilted his head toward him with a lazy grin. Where'd you learn that? Just learning, Tae said, rubbing his nose against his sleeve. For you, obviously. Jungkook exhaled, a tired sound as he leaned his head back. Around them, the street quieted again. Their friends muttered something like, "We've seen enough confessions for tonight," and slinked quietly back toward the house, giving them space. There, against the frame of a car that had seen too much tonight, Taehyung whispered, "We're getting married tomorrow, Roo." Jungkook didn't lift his head, just nodded, eyes locked on his own lap like it held secrets. Taehyung reached for his hand gently, fingers brushing the ring Jungkook still wore. His thumb moved across the band, once, twice. Jungkook's voice cracked the stillness. "Your mom stopped by last evening. She took Finn with her." Taehyung's head lifted, eyes sharp for a second before he gave a dry exhale, mouth twitching with something that wasn't quite a laugh. Then silence, until Jungkook's voice broke again. "I missed you, Tae, a lot." Taehyung's whole body stilled, then, slowly, he turned his chest toward Jungkook now, knees half tucked, curls shadowing his brows. "My father called," Jungkook added, voice too calm to be okay. "He told me I'd never find happiness, that it was over." A pause, then, quieter than a confession deserves. "He'd hoped I'd come back until today." Taehyung's throat moved like it hurt to swallow. "Are you having second thoughts?" he asked. His voice wasn't defensive, just soft, scared, small. Jungkook didn't answer at first, so Taehyung started to spiral. "What do I do, Roo? Huh? You want me to become someone else? Would that fix it? If I could turn into a woman and make your father say yes, I would. I swear to God, I would. I'll beg him, Roo, on my knees. I don't care if that's what it takes." His voice broke and the tears followed, too raw to hide. "I can't." His hands gripped at his own chest. "I can't do this without you. Did I ruin it? For us? Did I break what we hadn't even finished building?" Jungkook's hand slid over his. "It was our decision, Tae. We carry it together. Don't stand there holding it alone." He took a breath, then another. "I met your granddad last night." Taehyung's brows furrowed, the shift immediate. "Reginald?" Jungkook nodded. "He handed me a contract." "What kind of contract?" Taehyung's voice wasn't soft now. It had an edge, a sharp, cold one. Jungkook's lips were dry. "About your right to have a child, a heir. Said the Nathaniel legacy demands blood. He wanted assurance that I wouldn't stop you." Taehyung's jaw clenched. "And you signed it?" Jungkook nodded again, slow. "Without telling me?" Taehyung stood, too fast. His hand slapped the tire beside him. "Of course he waited until I wasn't there." His voice shook with anger and fatigue. "God, Roo, we haven't even had a chance to be us and they're already slicing us into legal clauses." Jungkook stood too. "I wasn't thinking straight, Tae," he said quietly. "I felt cornered. I just wanted out of that house." Taehyung didn't answer right away. His hands dropped to his hips, breath ragged and uneven. A beat, then he exhaled sharply, almost a laugh, but with no joy. "Now you understand," he said softly, "why I hate being a Nathaniel." He turned away, fingers threading into his hair, pulling once hard, then spun back, eyes glassy but burning. "We don't need permission to want a child one day, not an agreement, not a damn contract. If we ever decide that we decide, you and me, not Reginald, not anyone." Jungkook gave a small nod, barely there, his gaze was far away now. "That's why I signed it," he murmured, "to keep the peace, to make it quiet." His voice trailed off like he couldn't remember if he believed it anymore. "That paper doesn't matter," he added hollowly, "not if we're together." Taehyung stared at him, heart lurching, because he was here fully present and Jungkook wasn't. A crack in his voice. "You wanna run, Roo? Just say it. I won't stop you." Jungkook lifted his eyes slowly, but they were dulled, no spark, just wait. "There are so many people who want to be in your life, Tae,"
he said distantly, and somehow, I'm the one standing here. He tried to laugh but it fell flat, a sound swallowed before it left his throat. Taehyung stepped in, eyes wet. He reached for Jungkook's shoulders not to steady him, but to keep himself from collapsing.
No one just stumbles into my life, he whispered fiercely. You're not some accident, Jungkook. You're not replaceable.
He pulled him in tight, trembling as though maybe if he held him hard enough, the silence inside Jungkook would break. He brushed a kiss against his cheek.
Soft, final. I love you, your Tainy loves you.
He stepped back, cupped Jungkook's face. His hands were shaking now. I'll wait for you, he said, tomorrow, at the altar. Then quieter, more fragile than he meant.
You can choose, marry me, or catch the next flight to Korea. I'll survive either way, but I'll only love one of them.
He stood there, waiting. Do you want me to leave? He asked at last. Jungkook didn't answer, just gave the smallest nod. Taehyung's chest rose and fell once, a breath to carry the pain. Then he turned and walked away. He got into the car without looking back. The door closed. The engine hummed to life. Jungkook stood at the edge of the sidewalk, watching the red taillights drift farther and farther until they dissolved into the city's dark. He didn't cry. He didn't move. He just stood there alone in the quiet like a statue carved from indecision. And when he finally looked down, it wasn't shame or certainty in his eyes, just silence. The laughter had faded into aftertaste. Taehyung's friends were sprawled across cushions and rugs, soft and boneless from too much drink and too little sleep. Lights hummed. Someone's speaker mumbled a lo-fi beat into the carpet. Jungkook stepped back into the living room and didn't speak. He drifted toward the far corner, quiet, unnoticed. The wall behind him felt cold as he sank down, knees tucked up, arms folded over them, like a boy trying to fold into nothing. All good, mate? Someone asked through a yawn. Jungkook didn't answer. Instead, he let his eyes fall shut, and behind them Sydney arrived.
But not the skyline, not the harbor bridge or the salted wind.
No, it was smaller things. It was Tainy.
Taehyung's face in the glow of the fridge light at M. The way he laughed with his whole chest then snorted right after. The nights on the kitchen floor, arguing about whether peach tea counted as hydration.
The evenings spent with knees brushing, hands close but never quite touching until they did. That one morning Jungkook woke before him, just to watch the sunlight move across his cheek. And then, today Taehyung stood at the gate, trying to be strong, and failed. Because his eyes had teared up when Jungkook said, "You should leave." That single tremble in his lip, the way he turned away to hide it. It had undone something in Jungkook so completely, it never quite stitched back together. He exhaled, sharp and quiet. Then came the other face, his father, the crisp line of a jaw that never softened, the voice that always cut deeper than it needed to. "A heir is a must, Jungkook.
You'll never be happy with someone like him. You forget you have a country, a name."
Memories collided, one of Syrah handing him a glass of water, Finn falling asleep beside him, trusting without a single word.
Even Minji, arguing with him like family, shoulder bumping his like it was the most normal thing in the world.
Everything he'd built without permission, without a plan. It had become something, a life. And now he was being asked to choose between peace and belonging, between expectation and love. The laughter behind him faded into background static. And somewhere between memory and breath, Jungkook opened his eyes, still silent, but something had shifted. He looked down, then up. Somewhere inside that gaze, the answer had already taken shape, just not out loud yet. Nathaniel Mansion. The room glowed with golden thread curtains and stale grandeur portraits of ancestors staring down in judgment, polished surfaces too cold to feel like anything close to home. Taehyung stood in front of the mirror in his white wedding suit. He looked immaculate, poised, princely, a perfect Nathaniel heir. But his reflection didn't blink, because behind the elegance, his eyes were burning, flickering with something between panic and fury and grief. Alex swept in like perfume, subtle, artificial, lingering where it wasn't wanted. "Reginald," he said lightly, Look at our Tae, flawless, like walking legacy. He circled Taehyung, neatening a cuff, tugging at a lapel like he was prepping him for auction. Reginald stepped forward with a politician's smile and a hand that landed too heavily on Taehyung's shoulder. The moment it touched him, Taehyung jerked away, hard. I don't even know if this wedding is going to happen, he said flatly. Reginald's smile faltered. What nonsense, are you still not sober? Taehyung turned, slowly. How sober are you, Reginald? His voice shook not from weakness, but from trying too hard to stay level. Have you ever been? The older man narrowed his eyes, a subtle twitch at the jaw, but he stayed quiet. Taehyung's breathing grew harder, quicker. He wasn't just angry, he was unraveling, barely holding his composure. You make decisions like love's a business plan, like we're all just threads you get to trim or tie as you like. Have you ever once asked what we feel? He reached for the edge of the table and in one sharp motion, smashed the vase onto the floor. Porcelain burst across the marble like glass lightning. Alex flinched, then quickly turned to shut the door, hands trembling just slightly at the knob. Taehyung stepped forward, fists clenched. Standing so close, Reginald had no choice but to look at him fully. If you're humiliated today, if he doesn't show and the entire guest list sees your perfect bloodline fall apart, then good, swallow it. His voice cracked now, but he didn't care. But if Jungkook doesn't walk through those doors before that music starts, if I stand there alone, then forget you ever had a grandson. He stepped back, chest rising and falling too fast. Because I won't play pretend for your reputation ever again. Reginald's jaw tensed, and for a moment, that practiced air of control faltered. Just a flicker of worry behind the eyes, like for once he wasn't sure if Taehyung was bluffing. Because he wasn't. Taehyung's voice lowered, fragile now, but no less fierce. I love him, and I am terrified that he won't come. Terrified that he might have believed everything you whispered to him behind closed doors, that he's halfway to Incheon right now and I'll be standing there like a fool in this ridiculous, perfect suit, wondering what I did wrong again. His lips trembled, but he held his ground. So you want control? Fine, control your narrative, but you don't get to control him, not anymore. He turned, didn't wait for a response. He yanked open the door and walked out, leaving behind shards of porcelain and a silence that stuck to the walls like ash. Reginald said nothing, but his hands clenched behind his back, and Alex, watching from the corner, smirked faintly because he saw it too. Taehyung meant every word, and Reginald wasn't quite sure anymore who was holding the reins. The guests were seated beneath soft June light, white ribbons fluttering against rows of chairs, flower petals curled like sleeping breath at the altar's edge. A perfect day waiting, and Taehyung still. He stood near the mouth of the aisle, adorned in white silk and promise, but his jaw was tight, his fists clenched at his sides, deep into the delicate fabric. His eyes kept flicking to the path behind him, to the tent where his friends should have appeared with a boy in a tux and a grin. But no one came. He tried to breathe, the kind they taught him in vocal training, in through the nose, out. It didn't work. His thoughts spiraled. The engagement night, the first time they met, those Bambi eyes wide, holding a galaxy. The way Jungkook used to bite his lower lip when he was trying not to smile. The way he never laughed outright, only giggled light and ridiculous and alive. Where was he? Was he even here? Had he left? Behind him, Reginald stood with a hand twitching at his cuff. He wasn't smiling, not anymore, not since Ryan had whispered something in Alex's ear and Alex had made that perfect show of pale concern. Sarah leaned in, voice like poison wrapped in pearls. She murmured, maybe he just got smart. Her eyes didn't leave Taehyung's face, watching as color drained from his cheeks, as his lips parted but didn't speak. Inside the tent, Ryan paced, phone pressed to his ear, voice strained. He's not answering. I've called everyone. Alex turned slowly, toned down his smirk, tilted his head toward Reginald. Jungkook is missing, he said, soft as a confession. He might have flown back. Reginald didn't respond, just stared at Taehyung. The celebrant approached, clipboard in hand, voice calm and oblivious.
Sir, would you like me to call the groom forward?
Reginald's jaw clenched. Taehyung looked away. His heart thundered. His knees wanted to give out. He's not coming. He's gone. He left. Just as the music stuttered into silence, a sound, a cheer,
from the very back of the venue.
Laughter erupted, light and uncontainable. Taehyung's friends lined the aisle in a perfect row, then stepped back, splitting left and right, making way. And there, in full white, shoes polished, hair styled, a single dark flower at his lapel, his lips touched with that familiar deep plum color he'd once called decadent sin.
Jungkook. Taehyung's breath caught.
His eyes moved slowly from shoes to hem to chest to the curve of those lips, and finally,
those eyes, doe-eyed, still, here.
Tears poured down his face now, unstoppable, undeniable. He didn't move, couldn't. His eyes fell shut for a moment, the tension loosening from his fists. His knees steadied. He opened them again, as if afraid the image might disappear.
But there Jungkook stood, still, his.
Reginald moved first, approaching the boy, face unreadable. Then, he opened his arms.
Jungkook hesitated for half a heartbeat,
then stepped into it. The old man held him briefly, then placed a hand on his cheek like he was someone he hadn't known how to love properly.
"Let me do the honor," he said, voice rough, "of bringing you to your love."
Jungkook looked up, nodding. Reginald offered him his arm.
"And if that contract hurt you, we'll burn the damned paper together, hum."
Jungkook's fingers curled around the elder's sleeve. They walked. The aisle glowed like a tunnel, sunlight cascading in slow gold. At the stage, Taehyung stood, breath caught, tears already slipping down his cheeks.
When Jungkook reached him, Taehyung broke.
His knees wobbled, his face crumpled, and without a word, he collapsed forward into Jungkook's chest, sobbing into the white cotton.
Jungkook caught him, arms firm. "Taenie," he whispered against his ear, "everyone's watching you cry."
That only made Taehyung laugh and cry harder. He took his time to settle, to breathe. Then they faced each other, hands curled together like anchors. The vows were said, the words spoken, and as the celebrant lifted his voice with,
"You may now kiss your..."
Taehyung didn't wait. He tapped his foot once, then surged forward, pulled Jungkook by the waist until they were chest to chest. Taehyung kissed him, fierce, messy, mouth trembling with joy and heartbreak and too much love for his own chest to hold. The crowd cheered. Friends whooped, cried, burst into laughter. A circle formed around them, arms stretched like a fortress of joy. Someone yelled, "Cover the lovebirds," just as the petals and confetti burst into the air like stardust.
Taehyung didn't let go.
Jungkook's hands were in his hair now, holding him still and close and forever. And beneath falling color, beneath noise and nerves, they kissed like they were making up for all the lost time. And maybe they were. Maybe they always would. The kiss had barely ended when Taehyung pulled back just an inch, breathless, lips parted, eyes locked on Jungkook's mouth. His thumb traced gently along Jungkook's bottom lip, smudging the faintest hint of color. "Rouge Louboutin," he whispered, voice caught between wonder and disbelief. Jungkook's eyes shimmered with quiet mischief. "You said once," he murmured, "that you wanted to see me wear it. The shade you said looked like temptation itself." Taehyung's breath stuttered. Jungkook leaned closer, brushing their foreheads together. "I wore it for you, Taenie, so when you kissed me every part of me said yes." Taehyung's hand slid around the nape of his neck.
"I'll never stop kissing you."
"Then I'll never stop wearing it," Jungkook whispered back, lips ghosting against his. And this time, when they kissed, it was slower, anchored, a seal, a vow all its own.